In today's video, I will talk about associative arrays in PHP. Arrays have the capability of holding multiple data elements in a single variable. With associative arrays, they map keys to data elements, and the restriction on associative arrays are that the keys have to be of data type of string, and those strings are also case sensitive. And the nice thing about associative arrays is I can assign meaningful keys or meaningful labels to values. And so it gives me a nice way to quickly look up information. Of course, you have to keep them relatively small because you have a limited amount of memory that you can work with, which by default is 128 meg, but you can try to override that setting. So in this example, I have a state description by abbreviation that provides me an easy way of looking up state abbreviations and get the full state name. And these are some of the states in the United States. So I have keys that are of data type string, and in this situation, they map to data elements that are also of type string. Now, associative arrays, they can also map to values or data elements that are of different data types. They could be booleans, integers, floating points, other arrays, objects, and so forth. But just for simplicity, I'll just make everything a string. So let's say I want to look up the state name for the abbreviation Texas. How would I do that? And I want to print it out to the screen. To print it out, you would use the echo keyword, give it the array, and then in square brackets give it the key, which is Texas. Now you have to keep in mind that these are of data type string, so it needs to be enclosed in quotes. So it will look up the key of TX in this array and give me its corresponding value. So saving this and running it in the command line window will give me Texas. If I want to get the value for South Carolina, which is also in this array, I would change the key to SC. And so it would look up, it would get the key SC and return its associated value, which is South Carolina. And running it again gives me South Carolina. Now let's look up the state abbreviation for New York. So type in NY, and in the command line, run it, and I get an undefined index notice. An index has the same meaning or a synonym for a key in an array. And New York is not defined in this array. So when accessing array, it's important to check to see if the key is set. And one of the ways you can do that is by doing an if is set, give it the array name and the key, or the key that we're trying to access. And doing this won't generate a notice because it's just trying to see if it's set or defined. If it is set, it will execute the body of this if statement, print out the echo instruction, which will print out New York. And when I run it, it doesn't give me a notice anymore because it would go state description by abbreviation New York, see that New York's not in here, it would evaluate to false and not do anything. Which moves us on to our next topic, setting keys in an associative array. To do that, you would give it the array, and then in square brackets, you would give it the key. Since it's of data type string, I would need to enclose it in quotes. And I would give it the data element or value of New York. And so when I save the file and I run it this time, it prints out New York. So it looked up the key New York, which I set up in the line before it, and it gave me its value. And the isSet evaluated to true, and it printed out its value in the terminal window. Now if I wanted to print out all the values in the array, I can use print_r, which tells it to print out a variable in human readable form. And when it sees an array, it prints it out like this with the keys over to on the left hand side and the values on the right. Now to sort an array, you would use the sort function and give it the array, and I save it, and when I print it out, it gives me the array in sorted order, but the keys went away. It just gave them numbers, which is an indexed array, which maps integers to data elements. And I want to maintain associativity. To do that, use the asort function. And so I would save the file, and when I run it this time, associativity is maintained. The keys of data type string are still present, and they map to their corresponding values. And the asort function, it will sort it by the values or data elements. Now if I wanted to sort it by the keys, which isn't very apparent, well actually, let me do this. I'll just do, this won't make any sense whatsoever. I'll do state of XX, and I'll do AA for a description. So when I sort it right now, XX that maps to AA is on top of the list because it's sorting by the values, which are over on the right hand side. Now when I sort it by the key, it's going to sort it by what's on the left hand side of the arrow. XX should appear at the bottom when I print this out because it'll sort it by the keys. So to sort by the keys, I would change asort to ksort, which stands for key sort. And when I print this out, XX, the key XX appears at the bottom of the list because it's sorting it by the keys in alphabetical order, in its natural order. Another function, and you have to keep in mind there's a lot of array functions. It's kind of like strings. There's this whole slew of string functions and a whole bunch of array functions as well. If I want to just get the state abbreviations from here, I can have a state underscore abbreviation variable, and I'll assign that to just the array keys, and I can get the keys out by calling array underscore keys and give it the associative array that I want to pull the keys from. And if I do a print_r on state abbreviation, it just gives me the keys, which just contain the state abbreviations. If I just want to get the data elements or values out of the array, which are the state names, I just call it actually state description. I'll have my variable, and which I've called state underscore description, and I'll call the array underscore values function on the associative array that I want to pull the data elements or values from. And when I print out state description, it now gives me the descriptions of the associative array. Now, kind of going back to the way what we had before, one other thing. So we're now back to the sorted list. Now let's say I want to just change the order so the descriptions are the keys and the keys are descriptions, the descriptions of the associative array. So I want to I'll have a new variable and I'll call it state abbreviation by description. I would call a array flip function to flip the keys with the values, and I would give it the associative array that I want to flip. So take it, it would make a copy of that array, flip it, and then assign it to a state abbreviation by description. And when I print this out, this descriptions are now the keys, and the abbreviations are the data elements or values. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.